Through my daily safety report, I am exposed to the harrowing, distressing and traumatic experiences of firefighters which are starkly apparent from the outset. They arm themselves in their turnout gear, boots, trousers, jacket, gloves and helmet. Now the team is ready to step out. While we wait for what the day would shape out to be, I try to get to know these men a bit better. Hoped that having a day with these men will make me understand the nature of their job better. I was shocked at a point when the firemen narrated how they were involved in an accident and their recovery process. The firemen also recounted a gas explosion at the Ghana Household Utensils Manufacturing Company, GUMCO, a household utilities manufacturing company popularly known as Chinese at Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region on May 9, 2017 that left more than 100 people injured. The explosion, which occurred at about 7 a.m. on Tuesday, led to a 4-hour traffic jam in the Twin City. The tanker carrying 30,000 tons of liquefied petroleum gas was offloading into 2 giant LPG receptacles in the yard when it started leaking profusely. This led to a fire which caused the tanker to break into 2. The firemen told the crew they came to work hoping to close peacefully and return to their families. But they never made it back home that day. In fact, some of them rather found themselves in the hospital.
As we were about to try to organize, all we heard was the sound. Boom! Then I can see my crewmen, everybody scattered. Someone in the gutter. In fact, I fell in the gutter. I don't know what happened, but I found myself in the gutter. Through the waves of the explosion, it was serious. Everybody was hit badly. All that I remember that I was in the Gapo hospital.
The GS that we are wearing, they are all on fire. I have to be tearing my dresses off. They started rolling on the ground so that I may put the fire off. So after that, then one doctor came and sat beside me, said I should talk late for him to hear. And the doctor said, my voice has started changing, but if they keep me here for 2 hours, I'll die. So they have to make provision and fly me to the nearest ICU center. So after 5 days before I realized that, where am I? I'm at the hospital. Where is he? They say, oh no, this is what happened to you, calm down. I stayed there, they started doing the peeling of the blisters and other, because I had multiple bends. Almost about 50% of my body bent. I bent my face, my back, my limbs, my legs. The lucky I made is that I couldn't get the burn at this area, at where my tummy is, like it should be west. I received treatment over there for 93 days in ICU. Intensive care. I was hanged, both my legs and I couldn't lie at my back, because when you lie on the saw too, it doesn't heal. Honestly speaking, it is not easy. Sometimes you go to the dressing shed, you get to your tent, you tell the person, master, please go. Because what you are feeling in your body, and that kind of painkillers, the drugs that they've been giving you to, it's not small drugs. I've been taking, they've been giving Peptidine, Tramadol, and morphine. Then diclofenac, 750. Peptidine 100 before I can do dress. When they start my dressing from 8, they finish sometime 2 p.m. They took another part of my thigh to build my ear. Now my ear have been built to my skull, so they are now going to remove the ear from the skull. Now they will be doing implant that will let the hair also grow.
Some rescuers in Tema also shared their story with the team.
2005, September, it was a Sunday morning, and then there was this distress call, an accident on the motorway, which we proceeded. When we were going, 207 bus crossed us, and then we suffered an accident. My kneecaps medically was broken. That was, I know whether a ligament or what, but I was in POP for about 4 months. From my waist, it was only my toe that was showing. Okay, I couldn't do anything. I have to be carried to and fro. And then when the POP was removed, I realized it wasn't still okay. I have to go back. They did a surgery on the knee and it was fixed again. I was again in a POP. So about a year, I couldn't do anything on my own. As a man, there are things I can't do. As you see me standing here, so strong. But I can't play football anymore. I used to be a good footballer, but I can't play football anymore because of my knee. I can't mount this fire engine anymore because of the height. My knee, I cannot do it. I can't run anymore because of my knee. So this is the problem that I have now. As you see me standing here, it's difficult for me. And then looking at me aging now, I sometimes feel so afraid of that when I get to around 60, 70, how would my life be like? Can I be able to walk well? You know, when you are aging, things go down, so you slow down. So that has been my problem.
4 bars involved in an accident on the motorway. So we were called to go to the scene to save lives. On approaching the accident scene, as most of the cars were slowing down, we realized a car just bumped into our front. So our driver started applying brakes. It was drizzling at then, so when he applied, it just veered off the road. As for me, what I saw was I was in the hospital. The news broke down that I was dead. So what I realized, what I can talk about when I was in a wheelchair in the general hospital. But realized that the pain was still coming when you take in the painkillers and all that. My injury was on my waist because I fell and then my coccyx hit on the floor. So when I went to the hospital, I was supposed to do a surgery on the coccyx, but I was so fortunate to have a good doctor that managed it up to a level that the pain came down. So now it's on and off. That is when the cold start setting in and all that. So it was my causes. My auntie as a nurse knew what was going on, so she thought I was losing my manhood, seriously. So at a point she comes in and asks, how are you feeling? Do you feel a man? And then I told her for that one, unless I tested before. So then I laughed over it, and then we all laughed over it. And seriously, by then I was only 25 years, where I'd not married and all that. So a young man going through this, you know the trauma that you go through. Now I can't sit on the bicycle again because when I sit, it hits on the coccyx.
There was a petrol tanker fire at Prince Lord Yard. We were fighting the fire. Actually, we suppressed the fire, almost done. But later, because of the petrol was spilling, the situation escalated. Then the fire engulfed some of us. My people were able to run away. They were able to escape from the fire. But 2 of us, myself and Eso Ajavon, were trapped by the fire. I went out. I didn't know what happened again. Before I would see myself, I was at the General Hospital. Then we got bent. It wasn't easy. It was an experience I would never forget in my life because it was an incident. I saw that I'm dead. I saw myself in the fire. Later, I didn't see anything again. And I thought this is the end of my life as a firefighter.
There was a fire at Sakumono, and it involved plastic. They manufacture plastic, rubber bags and stuffs. And during the process, firefighting, you know, when plastic melts, it turns into water. It's very liquid. You will not see. So we were there, and I was like in a pool of melted plastic. And in the process of, we were breaking doors and stuff. So we were trying to enter. I slipped and fell into it, and my body was covered in melted rubber. The way I was screaming, and people were my team stopped fighting the fire and like they were cooling me with the water because my body, it was like I was in hell because every part of my body was just burning. I was screaming. And I remember I passed out. I passed out of the scene, and when I opened my eyes, I was at the hospital.
Despite the hazards that come with being a smoke jumper, personnel also have to contend with other challenges. Inadequate personal protection equipment, PPE, is a major one. We are told that many personnel do not have personal PPE, and so sharing is common.
You will see that there's a lot of diseases and sicknesses among. We have a lot of sicknesses, but the PPE that we wore, when I wore and I go home, the same person will take over from me, will want the same PPE, including the boot and everything, the face mask and everything. I will change over to somebody and the person to come over. Even when I send it to fire and the thing is wet, when you count, there's none. The same thing you have to maneuver, or you have to look for anything of your own and done and one and go and fight the fire. At least everybody should have his own face mask because I breathe into it.
Incidents here for me, I was in overall. Now, me senior overall MLT, the state overall MLT do here now. Me who say it's not proper. Like say we call food, I could use my with overall. Into no yenya PPE sir. Okay, be boy.
PPEs, personal protective equipment, yeah, the air woman. You do time bia, because you say no yare bebre na ba. Nti se obi she jacket, na se ono de be ye adwuma night. Na oyigu ho na se wo ba be she no morning na. Nti se enye ye wo ampo wo maso na wo chimpo a wo abun se wo hompo nye wo fine.
Coming into direct contact with smoke, which contains carbon monoxide and other toxic gases from burning substances, has always been a part of a fire scene. Most of these firemen go to the field without the necessary breathing apparatus, BE, and face mask.
I want to see the fire service hospital. It's long overdue. The police has hospital, the army have theirs. Fire, no. And not even a yearly checkups. We don't have it. I want to see that coming up now.
If we have this hospital established, we come in, detoxify ourselves. You know, we move in our uniforms and whatever. We realize that we are so much bathed with toxics and stuff. We go in anyhow. We infest people in our vehicles going in and there. But if we have these detoxification centers at all the stations, we come back there, you don't detoxify yourself, get your appropriate clothing, quickly you move on. It is something I would love to see happening.
Having now been educated on some of the challenges of the job, I inquired from them whether there is a special fire emergency fund to cater for them when they suffer injuries in the line of duty. According to them, the Ghana National Fire Service refunds all the monies spent during hospitalization, and they also get a workman's compensation where applicable. But there is no special fire emergency fund to cater for them after an injury. There is also no comprehensive insurance for firemen in the country. They also say even where a refund is applied for, the paperwork takes a while and they sometimes have to borrow to cover their bills before money is spent is refunded.
As for the medical bills, if you don't have money, it will be a problem. You pay later, then you submit your receipt to the management and the service will refund whatever you have lost.
We went to labor office to pick a form for workman compensation, and it took us about almost 2 years before they were able to give us the workman's compensation.
Yes, I know my hoche back. Tina Bessiana mebo, meba welfare, Beje Bessia, me call other companies, me call J Bessia, and me because Debiano, me no bano ne foka ne aba hospital, me no ya sign for ako. Si here say bibia, just would dimage in Tembia, ma transportation, ne koye 2. baabi a ɛbɛkɔ biara gye sɛ obi di m'akyi ntimi mfa me nsa ne nso biribiara ntimi nyɛ biribiara sɛ folda koraa gye sɛ mete hɔ na obi de akɔ rounds na wakɔyɛ na wabɛfrɛ me sɛ sɔre na yɛnkɔ nti bi a fire service force ɔmo kɔ emergency na obi nya problem a ɔba mpo a ɔmo ntimi nhwɛ no na ebi a ɛwɔ service ne din mu na biribiara service no egyina hɔ sɛ nipa no ɔndwane anaa biribi sika no ebɛtumi atua yɛ cost no.
With this information, we asked some more questions. How long does it take for monies to be refunded? And what is the process for a refund and workman compensation?
We do not have a hospital to ourselves. So you go to a hospital, you are treated, and then you submit a bill for us to pay. The payment is made under our goods and services. So as and when we receive money for goods and services, we also make the payment to personnel. And sometimes the goods and services do not come on time. And that is why normally there are delays with regard to the payment of the medical refund. Per the PNDC law 187 of 1987, when somebody gets injured, let's say in fire service, on operational front, the person is taken to the hospital. And then when he's taken to the hospital, we have to submit all the bills associated with the injury to the labor office. Then the labor will now give you a form which you send to the hospital, to the medical doctor that treated you. He, the medical doctor, is supposed to determine the extent to which you have suffered an injury. So when he fills that forms and is given to the person who suffered the injury, he sends it back to the labor. Then labor will now do the computerization. When they have finished with the computerization, depending upon the percentage that is awarded to the person in terms of injury, they don't even give the bill to the employee to submit, but they write straight to fire service. So when it comes to us, because we have done a budget and we have included it in our budget that there's something called a workman compensation, which we are anticipating. We send it to Minister of Finance, making reference to the budget line. The Minister of Finance will also release the money to us. Then we make the payment to the person who apparently suffered the injury. When we hear that people have died at fire scenes and all that, civilians, it's not the burns that killed them, it's the smoke. And that little smoke that civilians inhale, they die. That same and excess of that, firemen are inhaling them and they are living. So we feel so much for our people who get injured on operational field. We feel for them. We feel for them because the level of smoke in the average firefighter, if I tell you, you'll be shocked. To the extent that a fire officer who has never smoked cigarette before, never taken alcohol before, goes on retirement, go to the hospital, and is told, my friend, you better stop smoking. He says, me, I've never smoked before. He says, I'm telling you, look at your lungs. It's there on the screen. Then he gets back home, go through his memory and realize, no, the fire I've been fighting, the accumulated smoke. When you go to the advanced countries, after every smoke, every fire, firefighters are taken through a detoxification process so that whatever smoke they have inhaled goes off. But it's not like that in the country. And all of us have taken firefighters for granted. It's not like management of Ghana National Fire Service is not thinking about its staff. We are really thinking about our staff.
For the injured that end up with some physical disfigurements, even attending social functions sometimes becomes difficult, and the psychological trauma is telling. The bravest say they are sometimes scared of the sound of their own siren or any form of sound they come into contact with.
One funny thing is that you see kids, they normally make fun of certain things. When I get out in the room, they will be calling me Al-Qaeda, robot. Because when you call me, I can't just turn the head. I have to turn the whole body before I can talk to you. So when they see me Al-Qaeda, and sometimes when you are going in the premises of people, you feel like, hey, Charlie, you look at yourself. Look at how I was going to them. And they'll be asking you questions that you cannot tell lies. How does it? Even some kids who will be come and touch it and find out that, is it paining you or is not paining you? It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. When they checked my pressure, I was almost to 200. So I was being put on this nifedipine and lesylopry to be taking it every morning and be checking my pressure. Now I'm a what is called hypertensive patient, which I was not a hypertensive patient. I've now been put on medication. I have my monitor that I monitor myself every day to be sent into hospital. Because sometimes you wake up and you'll be feeling dizzy, especially when you hear a sound that is a little strange. That flashback normally happens to you.
My boys, at first, they were just trying to run away from me, but 2-3 days later, they saw that, this is that. So but it wasn't easy, especially when I'm just quiet and I just heard the sound of matches, just the small flame of light. I will either fall down or try to run away. It wasn't easy at all. And even when you sleep, it's like backlogs. It's keep on coming. So psychologically, I was not good at all.
We joined the service very fit, and if it were to be somewhere, I know there are health checkups yearly to know your status compared to your entrance status, so they will know, okay, at this particular moment you pick up a particular injury or disease which could be attributed to the work you are doing, for which some compensation packages could be meted out to say, okay, because of this, that. And during your exiting to comparing your health stature from the starting to that exit in the middle age and through the exiting, they can then see that, okay, at line of duties, you pick up series of this and that and that. That will also warrant what you will be packaged with for.
We have had degrees of injuries. You see us moving up and down very strong, but inwardly we are suffering, especially when sometimes the weather becomes so cold. It's not easy for us at all as firefighters.
So Mohana say one the siren, another friend say you never alarm bell, so sana. Me some if panic we fear be there, nti no me sama ko bi ona mokwa eba asam na obesi.
Me share me home crying say nkwane here. You won't queen, but I am me who I am meraho because nang say na mete. Be a hokram cotonaka, Muna say, Aqua abit me, China, would be bashing at you to me who said no. Dear my no per se, or so ordinance a cap meskin. Okay, it makes I feel bad.
Minyate fire lamp and I'm your machine because me who me do baby so nice or more you su gas. Cylinders no na or she or chibi bina cylinders na or be a so proport nesiwa na me yam shishime e bu okrampo me hu sai ma metimi ko fa chire ba bi kura me pese me fall.
We reached out to the Director of Public Relations at the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO1 Timothy Osafwe-Fum, for some more answers. First, he spoke about the sharing of the personal protection equipment, PPE.
I'm the first person to tell you that we are not even halfway equipped. But notwithstanding, we cannot sit down and say because we are not equipped, we will not work. The little that we have, we make do with what should be done. Fortunately for us, government has given us the go ahead, and we are taking 2 tranches of equipment that under normal circumstances, each firefighter must have his own PPE. However, the present situation we have is not like that. We only have 1 set where if you come and you close and you are leaving, you leave the PPE behind for the next person who is coming to also use the same PPE. Ideally, that is not good, especially health-wise, because you may be carrying a certain disease on your skin. And so if you use the same apparel and I come also use the same apparel, it may transmit that disease onto me. So it is not the best. We are, however, trying to get 1 for each firefighter, dedicated one, so that when you close, you can take your PPE away. I also come and bring in my PPE. But once we have not gotten there, what we have is what we use. And so we provide what we call disinfectant for regular washing of this apparel, so that we'll minimize the transmission of the diseases from one person to the other. For breathing apparatus, we have breathing apparatus sets in the system. They are in abundance. However, the plant that we use to fill is what is down. Every region used to have 1 breathing apparatus plant for refilling. However, all of them have broken down because they have expired. The lifespan has expired, so all of them have broken down. That notwithstanding, the service management have started buying what we call mobile filling plants. Those are portable ones that can fill maybe 3 cylinders at a go. And so we have 1 in the northern sector, 1 in the middle sector, 1 in the southern sector that is doing these fillings.
ACFO1 Osafwefum called for proper medical care and systems for firemen.
Our job is an emergency job. The minimum is that you can get hurt. The ultimate is that you can lose your life. And so with such an institution, the least we could get is a medical system that easily takes care of personnel. However, this is not the situation at present. We don't have any medical care system that takes care of the firefighter when he is hurt in the line of duty. Every firefighter works 24 hours in a day. So the minimum the state can do for us is to get us proper and adequate health care system to take care of the fire officer. Situations have arisen where in the line of duty, officers are hurt, you send them to hospital and they expect you to pay before they take care of the officer who is injured. And I think this is not right. This is an institution. So you should note that once it's an institution that is bringing a casualty, for that matter, a personnel, the institution will come and take care of the personnel. So my appeal to our medical facilities is that anytime we bring in an officer who needs urgent care, they should kindly take care of the person and all others will follow. We have situations where people are injured and because at the time of going to hospital, there is no money, they have to find money from their own sources or family members to pay for refunds to be made later.
The safety of every fireman matters, but how important is their safety to the Ghana National Fire Service?
Our operation said that safety is paramount. When you are proceeding to any incident, what is at the back of our mind is safety, because you have to be safe before you can save others. Trying all these things to make sure that our men, when proceeding to incidents, be it fire, be it rescue, be it RTC, they are always protected and safe, because we need to arrive there safe before we can save others and then prevent fire from spreading and then putting out fire.
Perhaps now is the time to think about the actual risk that firemen take whenever they are called upon to save the lives and property of unknown people. The slogan of the Ghana National Fire Service is, "We don't take cover. What others run away from, we run towards. A fireman is a friend. Stop attacking firefighters. A fireman is an angel sent from God to save you." But to these men, they say their friendships sometimes turn out to be an attack from the public.
Recently, they squandered the whole fire station. They spoiled the whole thing, break everything. Their laptop, their computers, their stationaries, they spoiled everything. Why? Because they called and the response was not what the public was expecting. And we are risking our lives. And this is where we have long and short-term illness. The short terms are what we have received now. Some people go and they inhale toxic. Because we don't come to the public for the public to know that this is what is going on in our lives. So it seems they don't appreciate that after we've executed our duty, we normally face problems.
It's painful, but I don't blame them a lot. You see, that is why I'm saying that is why we are here today. For the public to know that this is what we also go through. I would say they are not aware of those injuries that fire officers suffer during saving lives and property. We are sacrificing a lot. You see, incidents do happen and everybody is fleeing to safety. And because of your calling as a fireman, people are running away and then you are rather going into the dangerous area.
Those of us in Tema, when you attend fire around Ashamai, the attacks that we face. But for us that we have the passion, we are ever ready to save lives and properties. You will sometimes get there, they start throwing stones at you. Meanwhile, you are not the one who sets the fire. You go and they tell you, oh, these people serve the can, there's no water in the vehicle. But I always advise that when they do that, we don't have to push them away. Let's get close to them and talk to them. Let them understand it. The reason why they should know, they have to know the capacity of the fire engine, the water that they are bringing to fire scene.
We want to tell our story so that the public will also know that we are for them. Anytime we come to fight fire, we are there to assist them. They should not always take us like enemies. There are other cases that if I say I will tell. And a case when we had a distress call that there was fire outbreak. We got there and it was a demonstration. People were demonstrating and burning ties on the road. In actual fact, we stopped at a distance and were cautioned not to go close. Fine. From there, we came down, we saw the police around. Then we saw some opinion leaders and assemblymen. We told them that what is happening, we cannot stand here and look at it. So we should all come together and put the fire off or extinguish it. Some agreed, some didn't. In the course of extinguishing the fire, they started throwing stones from behind. And 2 of my officers that are led to the fire scene were injured. One on the eye. Today, he's still having some problems on the eye.
From statistics from the Ghana National Fire Service, more than 40 firemen are injured, with over 10 losing their lives each year. So far, over 90 of the injured men have received their workman compensation. In recognition of their countless hours volunteered over many years, J.J. Edmondson, an operational firefighter in the Clyde Cardinal Fire Brigade and a lieutenant in the District 8 Headquarters Fire Brigade in the Country Fire Authority CFA in Victoria, Australia, instituted the celebration of the International Firefighters Day, IFFD, annually on May 4 to recognize and honor the sacrifices that firefighters make to ensure that their communities and environment are as safe as possible. The day coincides with the feast day of Saint Florian, the patron saint of firefighters. Saint Florian was found to be the first known commander of a firefighting squad in the Roman Empire in 300 AD and was credited with a powerful protector from the dangers of fire and water. Here Edmondson. The role of a firefighter in today's society, be it urban, rural, natural environment, volunteer, industrial, defense force, aviation, motorsport, or other, is one of dedication, commitment, and sacrifice, no matter what country we reside and work in. In the fire service, we fight against our common enemy, fire, no matter what country we come from, what uniform we wear, or what language we speak. The core values guiding the service are enshrined in the 8 cardinal points of the service emblem: gallantry, observation, loyalty, dexterity, sympathy, tactfulness, explicitness, and perseverance. As the saying goes, a fireman does not stop when he is tired, but stopped when he is done. Some fires may take a few minutes or hours to be brought under control. Some may take a day, over 24 hours, 72 hours, or even more. They hustle to make it in record time to the scene to salvage the property from burning and be sure everyone is safe, sometimes even paying the ultimate price. Despite the serious risk on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, coming into contact with high levels of carbon monoxide and other toxic hazards, these fighters will live by their pledge to continue to protect Mother Ghana. The life of the fireman matters, but who rescues the rescuer? The forgotten heroes deserve better. When you bow your head in prayer, say a word for the fireman, because that firefighter might save you one day.